next speaker is Mark Giovannini, my good friends. The authority of the interventional US. He's the top of the top interventional endoscopist. So, Mark, please.
Thank, thank you, Takao, for the introduction. It's my pleasure to be here with all my friends here, and thank you to Inoue for the invitation. Please, can you send my video? First of all, thank you very much for the invitation. And thank you to give me the opportunity today to speak about therapeutic US and the place of therapeutic US in Europe. If you see on these slides the different procedure using the US route, and if you see only the two first have a presentation during the SGE, and we have some recommendation published. The other procedure are still in evaluation, and I will try to show you what is the image of the EUS guided therapy in Europe today. First of all, the US guided pancreatic collection drainage, which is the first therapeutic US procedure. You know that this procedure has a very high percentage of success rate in the literature, and mainly we start using the US and plastic stent. But today, the debate is the use of the metallic stent, the Nagy, Spaxius, Axios stent, and what are the recommendation of the ESGE? We have a recent paper published in 2018 in endoscopy, and there is three recommendations from the ESGE. The first is to use the US guided access to treat the pseudocyst or the pancreatic collection, and this access is preferred over conventional transmural drainage. The second recommendation is to perform a progressive balloon dilatation of the cyst enterostomy fistula with a balloon of 6 to 8 millimeter. And this could be increased during the day following the first endoscopic transmural drainage. And the third recommendation is to use either plastic stent or lamps for the initial endoscopic transmural drainage. However, today the recommendation of the ESGE for pancreatic collection drainage is to use, of course, the US route. If in case of disconnecting syndrome and chronic pancreatitis, it's better to use a plastic stent and a double pigtail of 8 or 10 French. And in case of wall of necrosis, the lamps plus a pigtail stent less than 4 weeks is recommended. And after, we need to remove the lamps and to exchange the lamps with a plastic stent. What about the US guided biliary drainage? This is the second indication here in Europe. But here you see the three techniques to drain the biliary duct. The first is the choledochoduodenostomy with the direct puncture of the bile duct through the duodenum, the bulbus, with the insertion here of a metallic stent, or to use the hepaticogastrostomy route, which is the direct puncture of the left lobe, using the cystostome and a special stent, partially covered. And this technique is preferred in case of altered anatomy, or the anterograde stenting, which is the same route than the hepaticogastrostomy, and the stent is pushed through the papilla anterogradely. But on the recent paper 3 years ago, there is no real recommendation from the ESGE. Ouais, j'ai du bruit dans les... Ah, d'accord, ça va. Ça va. D'accord. Okay. And here on this paper published 3 years ago in endoscopy, this is the recommendation, the clinical guideline about endoscopic biliary stenting. There is no real recommendation from the ESGE regarding the use of the US guided biliary drainage. There is only one part of the paper. They not recommend, they say that it's possible to use the US route, choledochoduodenostomy or hepaticogastrostomy in case of failure of the RCP route. And this is the stent that we use for hepaticogastrostomy, and this is the partially stent, 30% uncovered and 70% covered. This part prevents the migration of the stent, and this part prevents the biliary leakage. But now today we have other indication is the association of ERCP and EUS to achieve a complete drainage of the cholangiocarcinoma. Like this case with 3 stents are inserted endoscopically in the right lobe, and the left lobe is drained using the EUS route. And here you have this nice drainage with a complete drainage of the liver on this very extensive cholangiocarcinoma with 4 stents, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is very important to have a complete drainage of the liver. If you want to treat this patient by chemotherapy or radiochemotherapy, you need to have a complete drainage, because if you leave one segment not drained, there is a high risk to develop, the patient has a high risk to develop hepatic abscess or cholangitis. And today we are working on the possibility to drain the right lobe and the left lobe using the US route. And this is a video of a patient with but today we are working. Today we are working on the possibility to drain the right and the left lobe using only the US route. This is the case of a patient with a classic tumor, type 2 of bismuth classification. It's a patient with gastrectomy, and he developed metastasis at the level of the hilum. And the goal is to achieve a complete drainage using the US route. You see, the first step is the puncture of the left lobe, segment 2, the bile duct, the dilated bile duct, and after to inject some contrast. And here you have the cholangiogram, and with the cystostome, which is very useful in this case, in this technique. It's possible to the manipulation of a G guide wire to pass in the right lobe. As you see now, you will see the wire is going slowly and is pushed deeply in the right lobe like this. And after, with the cystostome, using a pure current, we create a small channel through the tumor, and we push the cystostome deeply in the right lobe. What is useful, because it's possible to inject some contrast using the cystostome. And here you see that the cystostome is very well inserted. The next step is to perform the dilation with a balloon of the stenosis, and after to insert a biliary stent. This is the first stent inserted, is an uncovered stent. This stent is a 6 or 4 centimeter. There depends on the anatomy of the patient. Here is a 6 centimeter. And the goal of this stent is to do communication between the right lobe and the left lobe. And after, the left lobe will be in communication with the stomach using the Giobor stent, the stent as you see previously. Here you see the opening of the first stent. Now the opening of the second stent here, which is the Giobor stent. You'll see the opening into the stomach, and you will see the final results of this procedure. Here this is the opening of the stent into the stomach with the bile is going into the stomach, and after we inserted a nasobiliary drain to prevent the migration, and this is the complete drainage. The right lobe is drained into the left and the left into the stomach. This is the decisional tree that we have in Europe. In case of failure of a RCP, if the duodenal lumen is intact, we perform a choledochoduodenostomy or an anterograde stenting. In case of duodenal obstruction or an altered anatomy, the main indication is the hepatico-gastrostomy. Regarding the gastrojejunal anastomosis using the US route, this is still in evaluation. Here you see the technique using the double balloon and the hot axios, which is open with a direct puncture of the jejunal, the dilated jejunal loop, and you have these very nice images. The last technique that I will speak about the therapeutic US, this is the radiofrequency ablation of the pancreatic lesion using the US route. And this is the French experience. We have two studies. One is the Finnish, is the first French multi-center study, including pancreatic neuroendocrine tumor and IPM and cystic tumor. And the second study is the study that we conduct in Paoli Calmette Institute in my hospital, is about the pancreatic metastasis from renal cancer. This is the video of a small neuroendocrine tumor pancreas, which is completely ablated with one session. This is the needle from the Taiwan company, 1 centimeter active, and we will use a current of 50 watts. Here you see the tip of the needle, and you will have a complete treatment of this lesion in one shot. You will see the ablation with the bubble, the white bubble, and the lesion will disappear. And what is very very important is the evaluation. This is the aspect 1 month after. You have a complete necrosis on this CT, injected CT, and you see there is no enhancement after the injection, the contrast injection. And 6 months after, the lesion has completely disappeared. And in the study that we published with Marc Barthé, this complete response is achieved in more than 85% of case. And this is the two paper in the literature, one from Israel and the French paper with a complete destruction, 86% of the neuroendocrine tumor. And we have now a very long follow-up, because we have more than 3 years follow-up with the same results. All the patients in complete response continue to have a complete response 3 years after the first ablation. And just results about the metastasis from renal cancer. But you see that it's a little bit different from a neuroendocrine tumor, because you see that the complete response is a little bit lower, 65%. And also, if the results for the neuroendocrine tumor is obtained after one session, we need almost 2 or 3 sessions for the metastasis from renal cancer to achieve a complete response. To conclude, therapeutic US in Europe today has pushed some limits, but it's not always the panacea, and this is very important to understand. And before to start an interventional EUS procedure, it's very important to ask 2 questions. First, is the indication will improve the outcome of the patient? And the second, do you have a plan B if you fail your first procedure? And I think probably the number of indication of therapeutic US will increase, but we need today to have more recommendation from the EHAE to know the real place of the therapeutic EUS in the field of the therapeutic endoscopy. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mark. Very nice presentation. Very good. And so, from myself, one question: in terms of the PNET RFA, so some endoscopists prefer the ethanol injection. So, which one is better? Or give us a comment.
We stopped to use ethanol injection for one reason. It's very difficult to control the injection of ethanol, and in some cases we had a large diffusion of the alcohol in the normal pancreas with acute necrotizing pancreatitis. The main advantage of the radiofrequency ablation is that you can control easily the ablation, and we can stop the ablation if we see the bubble out of the lesion in the normal pancreas. It's for this reason that we prefer radiofrequency ablation. Of course, it's more expensive, but it is in my experience is much safer.
Thank you.
One question from my side. IPMN. Of course, I tend to agree with the treatment of neuroendocrine tumors, but I tend to disagree concerning the treatment of IPMN. So what do you think about, at least, is there really a role?
Yeah, I'm not really, I'm like you, I'm not really convinced. And this is a big debate with Marc Marté, my friend in Marseille. I think it's very difficult to even when you operate a patient, sometimes you are sure that the patient has malignant or high-grade dysplasia on the lesion, and the resected specimen show nothing or normal cells or hyperplasia. I think today I'm not convinced to treat the IPMN. The only indication should be for me a real proven malignant IPMN in patient in which surgery is not possible due to the general condition or comorbidities.
Okay, so I think we have to move to the next presentation by Paul, if you agree. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you so much.